Oh, it's David doing the drums. Very nice. Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to dedicate tonight's performance to Mr. Mike Hadley. My mother always knew I would be funny. At the age of 3, aboard a liner crossing the Atlantic, I escaped both mother and nanny and found my way into the lounge where an orchestra was playing tea-time music. I don't think I set out to amuse, I just felt like dancing. So I made my way into the middle of the floor, closed my eyes, and danced, turning around quite slowly, with the occasional hop. I became aware I was being watched, and that the watchers were amused. I did not have to open my eyes to see this, but I felt it, and liked the feeling. I've never lost that feeling. I'm going to see you today. All's well with my world, and the people that I meet as I hurry down the street seem to know I'm on my way, coming to you. This is our beautiful day. I'm treading on air, and my feet have taken to wings. My heart with happiness sings, I'll see you today. This is our red letter day, it's come at last you see. Couldn't really be a better day, it's meant for you and me. This day we've been awaiting patiently. It is enchantment for me, for I'm going to see you today. All's well with my world, and the people that I meet as I hurry down the street seem to know I'm on my way, coming to you. This is our beautiful day. I'm treading on air, and my feet are taken to wings. My heart with happiness sings, I'll see you today. I'll see you today. Good evening. And can we say well done? Well done you for prizing yourself away from your television set. No, to come and have a look at the flesh and blood. No, real live people. You there, us here, you there. It really is an occasion, nothing streamed or canned, but real live performers in their original size and original colours. Well done, you. Can I just introduce our pianist for this evening, Mr Jerome Lloyd. And you'll have probably gathered I'm not Joyce Grenfell. It's never stopped me wanting to be. In her passport, under occupation, Joyce Grenfell wrote writer, entertainer. She might easily have written monologuist, lyricist, musicologist, ornithologist, Christian Scientist, or perhaps just national treasure. When Maureen Lipman was performing her own show about Joyce, appropriately called Rejoice, she was dropped off at the front of the theatre, where the theatre was ablaze with Joyce's name. And the taxi driver said to her, "Who's in it with you then, Maureen?" She said, "It's just myself, it's a solo show." "How long does it last?" "Well, About 2 3/4 hours. Go, blimey, that must be bleeding boring. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean for you, I mean for the audience. And when the Cockney comedienne Nellie Wallace was observing Joyce from the wings, she was heard to mutter, "What does she think she's doing out there talking to herself?" What she was doing was unique. And just because she isn't here doesn't mean she won't always be in our hearts. So tonight, with the music of Joyce Grenfell, Richard Adamsel, Noel Coward, Vivian Ellis, Flance and Swan, a few things we've written for ourselves, and as you can see, a bit of a hat and some nonsense. Tonight, as Joyce would have said, let's pretend. When combining the best of dear Joyce, one can be somewhat spoiled for choice. Her poems and monologues jump off the page. They turn every living room into a stage. They're your favorite lines you may shout out. We're aware of the ones we've left out. When combining the best of Joyce Grenfell, there's so much we have to include. There's that walk, like an elegant stalk that her characters always exude. And the thrill of those stately old gallons who dance most of us frequently. There's that bossy head girl and my best friend called Shell, and they're all part of our dear Miss G. A lady one always adores, a repertoire filled with applause, but combining the best of Joyce Grenfell can be not comediantal and stressful, you see, when you're dealing with someone like that. So much more than just George. Don't do that. When compiling the best of Joyce Grenfell, please don't be resentful, oh no. So much more than Miss Gossage, and please call me Sausage, and I say what oh. Though you may have divided opinions, there's more than some trillions you see. I fell out on a limb, more like Alice the Sim, when combining the best of Joyce G. When combining the best of Joyce Grenfell, there's so much we have to explore. One must never resort to cheap jokes and avoid hopeless caricature. To that end, we'll just say let's pretend and indulge in our Sunday night spree. Though it's not come all foe if you get up and go. Ladies and gentlemen, please, don't do that. Join with us in the best of Joyce G. What I would like to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to declare this show well and truly open. This will surprise you. I was actually born Joyce Phipps. But most mercifully, by the time I went on the stage, I had married Reggie Grenfell and changed all that. I mean, thank heavens. You can't see it in lights, can you? Joyce Phipps! Well, it sounds like gas escaping, doesn't it? As you know, today is Mothering Sunday, the one day of the year when everyone, particularly those in domestic service, had a chance to go home to their mother church. Reggie and I never had any children, but I know Reggie would have been a wonderful father. But I think I would have been somewhat a bossy mother. Well, you decide what sort of mother I would have been, as we present to you 3 very different types of mother. You see, Harriet, darling, you seem to think that the reason that Daddy and I don't like Leon is because Leon is a conjurer. But that's not the point at all. Daddy and I think it's wonderful. I mean, Daddy doesn't know how he does it, but have you thought what it would be like to be a conjurer's wife? Do you think you could stand it? I know I couldn't. All those rabbits popping in and out of things all the time, and darling, that seems to be your problem. Do you think you could cope as the wife of a middle-aged Portuguese conjurer? No, it's all right, darling. We won't discuss this anymore. No. You have a good night's sleep. And don't you worry, darling. No, I mean, we're not worried. No. I mean, what is there to be worried about? Now, Muriel, dear, we are going to learn this little poem for Grandma's birthday, and I don't want to hear any more nonsense. Now, repeat it after Mother, dear. That is the way to learn. Hail to thee, blithe spirit, bird thou never wert. Come on, Muriel, dear. Hail to thee, blithe spirit. Oh, what does blithe mean? Blithe means happy, joyous spirit, spirit full of joy and happiness. Hail to thee, blithe spirit, bird thou never wert. I don't know what he wert, dear, if he wert not a bird. No, it is not a silly poem, Muriel. It is a very beautiful and classical poem. And Muriel, we do not learn poetry just because it is beautiful. No. It's because it teaches us to speak beauty fully. You are going to find that very useful in afterlife. Now, come on, stick in your stomach and repeat after me. Hail to the... Oh, what's it called? Oh, it is called To a Skylark. To a Skylark by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Bysshe doesn't mean a thing, dear, it's his name. His mother was probably a Miss Bysshe. Now, come on, Muriel, pull it in your stomach and repeat after me from the beginning. To a Skylark by Percy. Go on, Muriel, dear. Bysshe. Muriel, where did you learn that word? You go upstairs to your room and wash out your mouth at once. Yes, darling, I know it's your birthday party. But sometimes we have to do things on our birthdays that we don't like to do. Yes, even on our birthdays. Yes, you do have to invite Justin. Because he invited you to his birthday party. But you enjoyed it. You said you did. You did. Anyway, he's coming to your birthday party and I don't want to hear any more nonsense. Now, what game should we play? Musical chairs? No. Blind Man's Buff? No. Oh, you'd rather play murders? No, I don't think it's a good idea to play murders. Because other children may not want to play murders. Now, what food should we have? How about some nice jellies and trifles? Oh, you'd rather have ham, cheese, pickle, and peanut butter sandwiches. No, I don't think it's a good idea to have ham, cheese, pickle, and peanut butter sandwiches. Because everybody else may not want to have ham, cheese, pickle, and peanut butter sandwiches. What do you mean? Just because you can't invite the friends you want, play the games you want, have the food you want, it doesn't sound much of a party? Oh, darling, it will be fun. Great fun. Honestly. It's a gift, my dear, and I should say I know, 'cause I've been pushing prams around for, 40 years or so. 37 babies, or was it 39? No, I'm wrong, it's 38, but none of them was mine. Other people's babies, that's my life, mother to dozen, and nobody's wife. Other people's babies, cuts and prams, such little terrors, such little lambs. But then of course it isn't, everyone can say, she gave the Lord the honourable hay. Lord James Montague, Sir Richard Little twins, Captain Caplet and the Ramrod twins. Other people's babies, that's my life, mother to dozen, and nobody's wife. 61 today, and ought to be a granny. 61 today, nothing but a nanny. There, ducky, there, did the lady stare? Oh my, don't cry, other people's babies, other people's babies, fits and frights, very long days, dear, and very long nights. 30 years of grooming, how they grew. Don't pull on airs, dear, nobody's looking at you. Although of course it is, and everyone can boast, they gave them Mitford girls their buttered toast. Lady Lettuce was dropped into a pond, and now cook tells me she's a well-known blonde. Other people's babies, that's my life, mother to dozen, and nobody's wife. And I sincerely hope that those of you that were able took a little something home to your mother, like a present or some flowers. You didn't? Well, you could always try making something. Remember, it's the thought that counts. And we'd like to share these thoughts with you. And they're rather special thoughts, as they became my very first stage character that I performed in the little review for Herbert Fargel. And you're very lucky tonight, because we're going to take you somewhere where no man has boldly gone before. Into the hallowed cloisters of that long-standing institution, the Women's Institute. Madam President, fellow Institute members, good evening. Tonight, I'd like to tell you a little about my useful and acceptable gifts, or how to make something out of nothing. I see several of you ladies have your eye on the boutonniere in my lapel. It is pretty, isn't it? And I'm going to show you how to make one just like it. First, you must obtain some empty beech nut husk plasters. These are to be found under beech trees any time from September onwards. First, cleanse your husk thoroughly, and then wire them onto stalks or stems. You will find 6 or 8 ample for a boutonniere. Now, before you colour, you must decide which flower it is you are making. Mine are wood anemones, rose pink without, and a deeper rose within. Sometimes I like to add just a touch of gold or silver. Do you know, I like to think we take nature's gifts and make them even lovelier. Now, when you are making husk flowers, do not confine yourself to boutonnieres. Be bold about it. Make great sprays of delts and loops. Next, I'd like to tell you about a more useful gift. Waste paper baskets, or more accurately, waste paper baskets tins, for they are made from manufacturers' biscuit tins, large size. To obtain these, you must make love to your grocer and wheedle him into giving them to you. Now, first cleanse your tin thoroughly, and then remove all advertising matter. Now, to achieve my unusual mosaic design, you will need some patterns of wallpaper samples. I fancy the buff tones myself, but you can do what you choose. Tear your paper into scraps, the rougher the better, then paste it all over the tin, here and there, higgledy-piggledy, in a crazy paving design. When your scraps are quite firm, outline each one in black India ink. Then you not only have a useful waste paper basket, That's a beautiful piece of modernistic furniture as well. Finally, I'd like to tell you a little about what I call my comic turn, Dicky calendars. Now, Dicky is really made from two Indian rubbers, or as we called them when I was at school, bunches. You will need a square, sturdy one for the body and a round one for the head. The head must be attached to the body, so obtain some strong wire, pull it through the head and the body to emerge as Dicky's legs. Mount him on a cardboard paper stand and give him two bright pin eyes, a yellow paper beak and a feather for his tail, and then with a calendar on a jaunty angle, Dicky is there to keep you up to date. Ladies, it is our duty as women to beautify our surroundings. Now, when you get home, look out for yourself materials to make useful and acceptable gifts. Good evening. Now we're going to give you two songs not to listen to. Well, you may need sustenance, or some of you may need a comfort break. And it'll give you a chance to decide whether my dress is bluish green or greenish blue. The first is a security song from the 39-45 war. My Bonnie is stationed at, but nobody knows it, you see, except all the people at, and all his relations and me. The gun he is manning at, sticks 70 feet in the air, but don't tell a soul it's at, well, know that it's there. The next is a very old English folk song. I know it's an old English folk song because I heard it myself when I was really very, very young. January brings the snow, makes your feet and fingers glow. February's ice and sleet freeze the toes right off your feet. Welcome March with joyous wine, where they were not so unkind. April brings the sweet spring showers, on and on for hours and hours. Fathers fear unkindly May, frost by night and hail by day. June it rains and never stops, 30 days and spoils the crops. In July the sun is hot, is it shining? No, it's not. August cold and dank and wet, brings more rain than any yet. Then September's mud and mist brings the wheezes to your chest. Then October brings a gale, rain and slush and wind and hail. Then November's nasty fog would not do it to a dog. Welcome cold December then, dear old January again. Now this may surprise you, I had no formal training. I went to the RADA for exactly 1 term and hated it. I only played the one show, and ironically the lead was taken by Celia Johnson, and we kept in touch all our lives. I had the one role, that of a shepherdess, wearing one of those caps, you know, mop or mob, I don't know what they're called. I was given the song in a key so high, only a bat could hear it. Like all children, I acted in school plays. I usually played men because I was so enormous. 13 and lumpy, with a pigtail and the biggest feet in the school. I suppose even now at a school reunion, I would be regarded as something of a bit of a galumper. Yes, I thought so. I don't suppose you remember me. Yes, that's right. Lumpy Latimer. Do you know, nobody's called me that in years. How ghastly. Well, my name is now Clinch, as in boxing. You know, I married a man called Keith Clinch who had been living out in Kenya. You have to call it Kenya now, you know. But now the children are back and they've married, and so we've come back too. Yes, I think for keeps. Yes, I think I am going to miss the sun quite dreadfully. I say, Patsy, are you just by way of going into the tea? Well, do let's foregather and have a chat. It'd be lovely to speak to you. Hello, Miss Davidson. How frightfully nice to see you. I don't suppose you remember me. Yes, that's right, Slumpy Latimer. Do you know, nobody's called me that in years, but Patsy Marsh, she's here, and she said, well, no, it's actually Clinch now, as in boxing. You know, I married a man called Keith Clinch who had been living out in Kenya. You have to call it Kenya now, you know. Yes, I think I am going to miss the sun quite dreadfully. I shall have to buy myself a woolly vest. I say, are you by way of going into the tea? Yes, we'll do that. Small gather. Yes, that would be lovely. Thank you. Oh, I say, it is Wendy Plackett, isn't it? Yes, I thought so. I don't suppose you remember, but yes, that's right, Lumpy Latimer, yes. You know, it's quite ghastly, nobody's got, but no, it's, well, Lumpy Latimer as was. It's actually the Clinch now. Keith and I have been living at, no, not in the Argentine, but in Kenya. You have to call it Kenya now, you know. And, oh, Wendy, look. Isn't that Mademoiselle? I say, isn't she tiny? I simply must have a word in here. I say, are you back going into the tea? Do wait for me here and we'll foregather. Hello, Mademoiselle. Je ne peux pas vous reconnaître. Oui, c'est ça. Le Latimer. J'ai avec tout, c'est à oublier, mais Patsy Marsh m'a fait rappeler. Je suis appelé Clanch. Madame Clanch. Maintenant, je suis en Angleterre. C'est ça. Pas beaucoup de soleil. Oh, c'est très gentil de vous voir, mademoiselle. Oh, très. Oh, très. Oh, Wendy, isn't she lovely? I wonder why we hated her so. What's your name, dear? Still Wendy Plackett. Still Wendy Plackett. Oh, look, there's Fizzy Wiggins! I say, Fizzy, old girl, Bagsy, I sit next to you at tea. Do you know, I've never forgotten her as King Lear. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are tempted to go on the end of Brighton Pier this summer, or at least that large wheel before you get to it, here is a word of warning. We shouldn't have gone on the Wizard. It was lovely before we came out. We wasn't excited or over-delighted, just glad to be gadding about. Ababaash, said the Barker, you'll love it, I know, it's ever so restful and nice. But we shouldn't have gone on the Whizzer at all, not on top of that floss and that ice. Wind's not on the fairgrounds, me am just the same, but our neighbour Connie Conway, Mad's her middle name. Mad she is for swing boats, mad for rides to dip, mad's for roundabouts and dodgems, dotty for the whip. Then she sees this Whizzer, come on girls, let's go. So we climbed aboard the Whizzer, how was we to know? First it turned quite gently, pleasant as can be. Then it wound itself up wicked, turning speedily. Faster, 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 would it ever stop? Faster, 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 whirling like a top. Win and me was clinging, Con was laughing gay. Then before our very eyes, Con was whizzed away. whizzed above the housetops, whizzed right out of sight, whizzed completely from the picture, whizzed into the night. How to break the tidings, tell our family. Connie whirled off of a whizzer to eternity. We shouldn't have gone on the whizzer. We only came out for some fun. It stood there so gay, only sixpence to pay, and the music inside had begun. We ought to have stuck to the hoopla, although every hoop was a loss. But we shouldn't have gone on the whizzer at all, not on top of that ice and that gloss. Conway's come down in a hayfield, a mile from the west of the town. We're very relieved, for we never believed that one of Con would ever come down. There's a merciful end to the story of Con, Win and me. But we shouldn't have gone on the whizzer at all, not on top of what we had for tea. Asked which of the medium I prefer, I always forget, is it medium or meteor? I can never remember. When I'm asked which one I prefer, I always say the live one. You there, me here, and we make something happen. Giving and receiving are the same thing. I present something to you which is funny or moves me, and I hand it out to you, but it means nothing unless you extend a hand and accept it, and then we complete a circle. And to write for radio, I've always loved radio, and do you remember the story of the twins? The two twins, one of which who loved radio and the other preferred television. Remember? Well, when they asked the radio-loving one why that was the case, the answer was because the pictures are so much clearer on the radio. I've always loved radio. And it's possible for us to complete our circle in so many ways. Now this may surprise you. This may surprise you. The nursery school sketches were actually written for the radio. I had never been to a nursery school myself, but I was aware that we adopt a totally different tone and manner when we're addressing a young person. You don't believe me? Will you try addressing a young child with the words, "My who's got nice shoes on today"? And I think you'll find you adopt a totally different manner that you wouldn't dare use for a person of your own size. Children, gather round, please. We're all going to do our lovely movement to music today, and Miss Bolting is going to play her piano for us. And we're all going to be lovely flowers, dancing and growing in the grass. Isn't that nice? Yes, it is, Sydney. It's very nice. Now, I want you to all hold hands in a nice fairy ring. Wider, fingertips just touching. Sue, let's go with Neville. Well, because flowers don't hold hands, do they? They just touch fingertips. Sue, let's go of Neville. Yes. And Sue, we don't want grumblers in our fairy ring, do we? No. We only want smilers. Yes, Lavinia, you're a smiler. Yes, Geoffrey, you're a smiler. Yes, David, you're a smiler. Yes, you're all smilers. Now, please don't get quite so excited. And Sue's going to be a smiler too, aren't you, Sue? In a minute. George! Don't do that. Now, we're all going to put on our thinking caps and decide which flower it is we are going to be. Lavinia, what flower are you going to be, dear? Oh, bluebell. Oh, lovely. Peggy? A red rose. Oh, lovely. Neville? A wild rose. Oh, well done, Neville. Sydney, dear. Sydney, think, please, and don't pummel Rosemary. What flower are you going to be? A horse isn't a flower, Sydney. No, it's not funny, children. No, it isn't. It's very silly. And if Sidney can't think of a better flower, we'll jolly well go on to someone else until he can. So, what? You're going to be another rose too, are you? Oh, I have got a lovely bunch of roses. I suppose, well, I mean, Peggy is a red one and Neville is a wild one. I suppose you're going to be a lovely white rose, aren't you? Oh no, you're going to be another red rose. Oh, well, that's nice. Sidney, dear, Sidney, think please, and don't blow at Edgar like that. Yes, I know it makes his hair go up and down, but please don't do it. Lavinia, what do we do when we come back from the littlest room? We pull our knickers up again. No, there's no need to help her, Sidney. No, she can manage quite. I'm so sorry, Miss Bolting. I think we're quite ready now to be lovely flowers, growing and waving in the grass wherever the music takes us, on tiptoe and... Yes, Sidney, dear, whatever. Thank you, Miss Bolting. Sidney, dear, what have you got? Yes, thank you, Miss Bolting. Miss Bolting, please. Sidney, dear, what have you got in your mouth? Sidney, dear, I can't hear a word you're saying. Go out of the room, spit it out, and then come back and tell me what it was. Sidney, dear, both feet, please. Don't hop. Now, children, we're not going to wait for a silly boy who puts things in his mouth, are we? Geoffrey, dear, stand up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, because flowers don't look backwards through their legs, do they? What flower are you, dear? Oh, a fat daisy, are you? Oh, that's that. You know, Geoffrey, I can always rely on Sidney, dear, come in. I can always rely on Sidney, dear, come in. Every time, Sidney, there is no need to knock the door down. Now, what did you have in your mouth? A big button. Well, Sidney, I'm ashamed of you. And where did you get it? Off the back of Rosemary's pink frock. Well, Sidney, I'm ashamed of you. A big boy of 3 eating buttons off the backs of girls' frocks. Do you know, I'm so glad you spat it out. You didn't. Sidney, do you feel all right? Well, you'd better go back to your place then, haven't you? I can't remember what flower you are. You better be a hollyhock. George, what did I tell you not to do? Well, don't do it. I'm so sorry, Miss Bolting. I think we're quite ready now to be lovely flowers growing and dancing in the grass wherever the music takes us. And thank you. Smile! Neville, dear, use your arms. Don't just stand there. Hazel, dear, use your arms. That's it. Peggy, dear, Peggy, don't forget to breathe. George, smile! You're a happy flower. Yes, you are. Because I said so. Oh, Sidney, you thought of something. I knew you would. What flower are you going to choose to be? Very well, Sidney. You shall be a cauliflower. Only do it quietly and gently.
I love that.
When I was performing in Noel Coward's, who I believe you had here last month, in Noel Coward's Sigh No More, he wrote a special song for me, but I didn't think it was totally suitable. When he asked me, why that was, I said, well, my audience may not appreciate it. Noel very flippantly said, what audience might that be, dear? I replied, my radio audience. In typical fashion, Noel just told me to learn the song and get on and do it. In the event, I performed it dressed as a schoolgirl, in a gym slip, a plait, and carrying a hockey stick. I'm sure all of you will be pleased to know that tonight, Joyce won't do that. We are told very loudly and often to lift up our hearts. We are told that good humour will soften fate's cruelest darts. So, however bad our domestic troubles may be, we just shake with amusement and sing with glee. Hey ho, Mum's of those pains again, Granny's in bed with her varicose veins again. Everyone's gay because dear cousin Florrie was run down on Saturday night by a lorry. Now we're so glad Elsie's miscarriage occurred on the Wednesday after her marriage, when Albert fell down all the steps of the town hall. He got 3 bad cuts and a bruise. We're delighted to be able to say we're unable to pay off our debts. We're excited because Percy's got mange and we've run up a bill at the beds. 3 cheers and he's got boils again. Everything's covered in ointment and oils again. Now he's at 7 and God's in his heaven. So that is the end of the news. We are told that it's dismal and dreary to air our despair. We are told to be gallant and cheery and banish our care. So when fortune hands us a cup of hemlock to quaff, we just give a slight hiccup and laugh, laugh, laugh. Hey ho, everyone's fearful. We do wish that Vi was a little more cheerful. The only result of her last operation of being gales of wind at the least provocation. Now don't laugh, poor Mrs. Mason was washing some smalls in the lavatory basin when that old corroded gas heater exploded and blew us back into the mews. Here it's over, Uncle George is in link for refusing to work for the war. Now it's over, Auntie Maud seems to think he'll be far better placed than before. 3 cheers, dear little Sidney produced a spectacular stone in his kidney. He's at 11 and God's in his heaven, and that is the end of the news. Hey ho, hi diddle diddle, we do wish that Vi was a little more cheerful. The only result of her last operation have been gales of wind at the least of provocation. Don't laugh, dear little Doris has just been expelled from assaulting Miss Morris, and all of her sisters are covered in blisters from standing about in the queues. We've been done in by that mortgage foreclosure, and father went out on the blind. He got done in for indecent exposure and ever so heavily fined. 3 cheers, hi diddle diddle. Aunt Isabel shingles have met in the middle. She's buried in Devon and God's in his heaven, and that is the end of the news.
That's brilliant.
You know, just a thought, whoops. Just a thought. If music has always been close to the soul, if all the instruments in the world and all the musical scores were somehow destroyed, just remember, there would still be music. Music has always been very special to me, and my father took me to the Promenade concerts at the Festival Hall, where I discovered Mozart and the 3 Bs. I always found I respected Beethoven, but I cannot say I loved him. I think it was a reflection of my own feelings that put into the mouth of one of my characters a top-priced ticket holder. Well, Beethoven does go on, doesn't he, bless his heart? I mean, just when you think he's finished, the entire thing starts again. And most of the songs were written by myself and dear Richard Adinsel. Richard would write the top line and send it to me. I would fit music, words to it, and then ring him twice a day. He would carry the phone to the piano and play it through with my lyrics. When Richard became too ill to do that, dear Bill Blairtard took over. I'm glad to say that tonight the legacy of talent has been handed down in the form of Mr Jerome Lloyd. Thank you. A flip answer to a question I'm always asked is, where do I go to get my characters from? Well, if I knew that, I would go there again. I very often have people come up to me, well, it's about here, and they say, oh, you must meet my aunt, you know, she's frightfully eccentric, she would be a wonderful subject for one of your monologues. And you know, they're far more interesting than any aunt could ever be. I think it's about time we played my radio game. Now, I want you all to close your eyes. All right? You don't have to, but you'll enjoy this far better if you do close your eyes. Go on. It's all right. Nothing's going to happen. I realise anyone coming in will think we've pressed the pause button, but never mind. Right. All hold hands. Just let yourself go for a moment. Just picture the scene. Just picture the scene. The scene is a railway carriage of the old variety, where passengers sit facing each other. It is a very wet and cold day. All of a sudden, a very loud and aggressive man gets on, shakes his hat and raincoat all over the other passengers, and then forces his way to a seat. He takes out his handkerchief and blows his nose very loud, very thoroughly, and in an exploratory manner. He then clears his throat, repeatedly, repetitively, and in fortissimo. There is a blessed pause when the man opposite taps the offender on the knee and very gently and very quietly says, "And now, perhaps you would oblige us with a fart." You see, if you closed your eyes, you'd have had much more fun. Our next scene takes place in the book department of a large department store. A writer of children's books has been autographing copies, and now she's going to speak to some of her young readers. Hello, boys and girls. Do you know, I was so pleased when you asked me to come to speak to you to tell you how I write my books for children. Well, of course, the secret is I don't. No, my books write themselves for me. I think we're all children at heart. Yes, even the growly bear daddies at the back. You see, I don't think I've ever grown up, and I think that is my secret. Well, that's in the fact that children come first for me. As you know, I write lots of books for you, and I'm going to tell you how I go about it. Now, first of all, I take myself upstairs to my hidey-hole. Well, this is really just a great big upstairs workroom, but I like to call it my hidey-hole. And I pin a notice on the door which says, "Gone to make believe land." Now, this is really just a way of saying, please don't bother and come in, because the book is writing itself and we mustn't disturb it, must we? I put a clean sheet of white paper into my typewriter, I close my eyes, and what do I see? I see a rambling old house in Cornwall. I hear seagulls, and I see children. 1, 2, 3 children. Jennifer Ann, Robin John, and Little Midge. Well, because he is the smallest. Yes, he does have a real name. It's actually David Anthony Timothy Simon, and he doesn't like porridge. And as I type, I learn all about Jennifer Ann's mop of unruly red curls, and how good she is with hedgehogs. And Robin John, who's more of a fish than a boy. Oh, you should see him dive from the top board. And their father, dear old overworked sunburned Dr. Merriweather. And then all of a sudden I wake up, and I'm back in my hidey-hole. And look, beside me on the table, a great pile of typed pages. They must have written themselves, while the book was telling itself to me. And so I go on, and that is how a book is made, and then I write another one. This time it's a rambling old house in Yorkshire. I hear sheep bells, and I see children, 3 children, yes, Mary Jane, Jonathan Christopher, and little Tiddler, because he's the smallest. No, I never rewrite, and I never read anything I've written. But you children do. Millions and millions of you do. And that is my great joy. And it's my husband's great joy, too. He's given up his work so he can support me in mine. And we've made hidey-hos for each of our 5 children, so they too may learn how books can write themselves for them. But I think it's about time, and my husband has a hidey-hole as well, where he adds up. But I think it's about time I got back to my hidey-hole. Don't you? Do you know, there are some nights I don't feel like being at all funny. But I only have to see the lights and smell the scenery, and you know, I get a sort of circus horse instinct. My neighbour, Mrs. Fanshawe, is portly, plump and gay. She must be over 67 if she is a day. You might have thought her life was dull, it's one long word instead. I asked her all about it, and this is what she said. I've joined an old-time dance club. The trouble is that there are too many ladies over and no gentlemen to spare. It seems a shame, it's not the same, but still it has to be. Some ladies have to dance together. One of them is me. So stately as a galleon, we sail across the floor, doing the military two-step as in the days of yore. I'm led by Mrs. Tiverton, she's light on her feet in spite of turning the scale at 14 stone and being of medium height. So gay the band, so giddy the sight, full evening dress is a must, but the zest goes out of a beautiful waltz when you dance it bust to bust. So stately as 2 galleons, we sail across the floor, doing the valse for Lita as in the days of yore. The gent is Mrs. Tiverton and I'm a lady fair. She bows to me ever so nicely and I curtsy to her with hair. So gay the band, so giddy the sight, but it's not the same in the end. For a lady is never a gentleman, though she may be your bosom friend. So stately as 2 galleons, we sail across the floor, doing the dear old lancers as in the days of yore. The gent is Mrs. Tiverton, she whirls me round and round, and though she manoeuvres me wonderfully well, I never get off the ground. So gay the sights, so giddy the sights, I try not to get depressed, and it's done me a power of good to explode and get this lot off my chest. La 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 la. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I really do think we've completed our circle tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. Remember, if you are looking for that little special something for an evening's entertainment, please get in touch with us. We'd love to entertain for you another time. It's been absolutely wonderful. During the war, I'm very often asked by interviewers, they always say to me, "But you are so natural, aren't you?" Well, what else can one possibly be? In the hospitals during the war, I tried to encourage the patients to forget their troubles by thinking outwards and joining in, to find a place where personal troubles cease to be, a place of peace, or perhaps you'd call it harmony. Dreary days that lagged along were colourless and slow. Those weary days that drag along as if they'd never go are now far behind us, finally. All is enchantment for me, for if I should go before the rest of you, break not a flower, nor inscribe a stone, nor when I'm gone speak in a Sunday voice, but be your usual selves that I have known. Weep if you must. Party is hell, but life goes on, so sing as well. I'm going to see you today. All's well with my world, and the people that I meet as I hurry down the street seem to know I'm on my way, coming to you. This is our beautiful day. I'm treading on air, and my feet have taken to wings. My heart with happiness sings. I'll see you today. I'll see you today.
You know what? You don't know.